So, big question. What is creativity? Is it the girl that can say 2 plus 2 equals 2? I think creativity is different things to different people. And having a wife who's in the art world, sometimes we think creativity is often owned by people that are in the art world. And maybe it's not in math. I don't know. So we just start asking ourselves this question, and it was the theme of the iPad Summit. So what is creativity? As teachers, we've all seen the most popular TED video in the world of Sir Ken Robinson that says schools kill creativity. He says that we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. We are educating people out of their creative capacities. And as teachers, we're like, either we think he's wrong, we are creative, or we're like, maybe he's right. Maybe we have taken the creativity out of learning. Maybe we have made environments that aren't conducive to creativity. Regardless, we started to ask questions. Are teachers creative? Is school a place where creativity is allowed to be? And do we allow it to flourish in our students? And we may, for some of us, be yes, I am creative. For some of us, be like, no, not so much. But as I look around at what's currently going on in education, and I see that Tara went to a conference in Doha where it was assessing creativity. And I go to the iPad Summit where the theme was creativity and content creation. And I see 3 keynote speakers, 15-minute keynote speakers, and they all have their own take on creativity. One person, if you guys get this reference, you're kind of around my age. One person says the 7 things that they've learned about being a creative teacher from the video game Oregon Trail. And there were great examples about grit, about trying again, taking risks, assessing the situation. Maybe, in some situations, it's like you're about to cross the river. You need to, pull up your wheels, caulk your wagon, and float across the river, and take risks, and all that sort of stuff. The other 2 presenters were like, I ask myself what creativity is, and I don't know. I know that as a kid, I wasn't creative. And they stumbled through their lives in various examples of creativity and questioning whether they had it or not. And regardless, what I realized is when I'm connecting all of these dots, and I see multiple people around the world talking about creativity. I have a concept I learned about in a video I recently watched called Everything is a Remix. This concept is called simultaneous invention, where things are happening around the world that are all kind of aligned. We are all having these multiple discoveries. It's not one place isolated where we're inventing the light bulb or realizing that creativity needs to be in education. It's happening in multiple places around the world. And so this is just a cool idea, And of course, the light bulb is a great example because Edison always gets the credit. But what about Tesla, right? So things are happening around the world, and I think creativity right now, we are at a point of transition, a bubbling up of ideas where we're realizing how creativity can be used in education. So you might ask me to, compare and contrast my experience with 2013 versus 2014 iPad Summit. And you might realize that obviously some overlap is going to be the iPads. But of course, there's a lot more realizations that came from that. If I look at the theme of 2013, a lot of the iPad Summit was about the teachers and the schools saying, all right, we're going to use iPads. And I think the iPad Summit was a great metaphor for the feeling that teachers had when they were like, the iPad and its pedagogical content knowledge, the crazy knowledge that I need to understand about how to use an iPad before I can bring it in my class. Technology, internet, social media, the unknown, digital citizenship. We felt like we had to climb up these hills as our own individuals, as educators, before we could then get on the other side, use it swimmingly in our classes. Last year was more about the models of the models of technology integration. So SAMR model is substitution, augmentation, reframe, change the game. And so this is just a different like a take on the SAMR model. And so substitution is like substituting technology. So using a Word document instead of writing on a paper. Augmentation is, using a tech skill that kind of changes it. Reframe or modification is like, now we have modified this content a little bit or this lesson where we have actually changed the way the kids are doing it. And redefinition is changing the game. Kids are accessing blogs, they're creating blogs, they're connecting to the world, they're interacting on social media, they're learning from various sources, and they're connecting to various sources. And so it was more about, models of technology integration. It was more about how do we organize iPads in our classroom? What's the practical way that we're going to do that? How are we going to monitor it? When are they allowed to use it? How do we plug it in? Should they have cases? It was very practical and more like how to use the iPads. This year, we kind of took a different approach. We said, you know what? iPads are not equal to a $1,000 pencil. They are not just a whiteboard. They are not just, a place to passively peruse some game or, just passively be exposed to information. It became a lot more about how the students were able to showcase their learning using the iPads and what the students were able to do and how they were able to engage in the future of learning and what that meant for them. And did it include creativity? And we obviously having creativity as a theme, everyone was kind of stumbling and saying, well, that's kind of awkward, that's kind of scary, that's kind of daunting. And we realized that creativity does take courage because it's not a path that is laid out easily in front of us. If we're trying to embrace multiple kids and their creativity, then it might not be crystal clear and it might not be easy. It might actually be chaotic, which brings me to my next quote. One of the keynote speakers was commenting on how most creative change happens on the edge of chaos. So as we're considering creativity in our classroom, as we're considering the use of iPads and or technology in our classroom, then I'm thinking that we can transfer this quote into our understanding of sometimes creativity will be a little bit chaotic. Sometimes using technology will be a little bit chaotic. But what is the payout? What sort of changes in the learning might occur when we embrace creativity and when we embrace perhaps the iPad, among other things, of course.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.
Please excuse the audio addenda as I did have some technical difficulties when I first recorded this using the app Doodlecast Pro.